Hey, NewTuber. Did they suck you in? Stop uploading. Right now. You aren't a creator. You're a high-volume data entry clerk for a trillion-dollar empire. And as the lead auditor at the lab, I have the receipts to prove your channel is mathematically dead before you even hit publish. There are 115 million channels on this platform. YouTube brags about their 3 million partners. That's a distraction. Even if you secure a seat at the table, the math is rigged against your survival. Only 8% of those partners, roughly 250,000 people globally, generate enough revenue to cover basic cost of living. For the other 150 million channels, or as Google calls them, the 92%, the payout isn't a salary, it's a microtransaction. To put it into perspective, you could fill 2,143 stadiums that seat 70,000 creators who aren't going to make a single dime for their channel. You provide the human capital. They provide the redacted promise of exposure. YouTube isn't a community. It's a decentralized data harvesting operation where you build assets for overlords who would replace you with an AI script the second you stop producing. I've spent 14 years inside this machine. I've seen the golden age of organic reach turn into a high-stakes heist. I didn't read about this in a blog. I found out when one of my own channels was demonetized without a single notification. I'm giving you this heads up because the platform evangelists are still selling you the 2018 dream. They want you to believe monetization is a simple meritocracy. It's not. It's an algorithmic risk assessment game. If you don't fit the current advertiser safety mold, you aren't just buried, you're liquidated. You need to understand the protocol before you become another redacted statistic. In 2020, the mask was removed. YouTube granted themselves the right to monetize every single byte of data on their domain. That wasn't just a terms of service update. It was a formal declaration of ownership. They codified the fact that even if you aren't partnered, your lifeblood belongs to them. You aren't a creator anymore. You're a high-level creative blood donor for Alphabet. They call it policy. I call it what the data shows, equity extraction. They seize your assets for ad revenue without a single cent of profit sharing. But they don't just want your views. They want your training data. Think about the cold calculation. They watch you liquidate your savings to buy gear. They watch you burn your retinas editing until 4 a.m. And then they have the audacity to overlay a commercial on your soul using your identity to sell their products while telling you that you haven't earned a seat at the table yet. It's an asset seizure disguised as a milestone. They aren't waiting for you to succeed. They are profiting from the very moment you start to fail. It's a masterclass in behavioral modification. They've engineered a permission-based economy designed to make you feel indebted for the privilege of your own exploitation. You want to know what's even more alarming? I curated data to write this script from the very machine, Gemini, that is redefining the landscape to warn people about that very landscape. You're grateful for the upload button, while the lab shows they're siphoning the value of your human capital before you're ever deemed worthy of a payout. They don't want you to reach the finish line. They want you on the algorithmic treadmill, running, sweating, and bleeding data, falsely believing that the next 1,000 views will finally grant you sovereignty. Here's the reality check. You aren't earning a living. You're servicing a debt you never signed for. You're chasing a ghost that Alphabet's engineers programmed to stay exactly 3 feet in front of your face. Is this digital authoritarianism? They call it the creator economy. In the lab, we call it what it really is: digital infrastructure control. YouTube owns the factory and the distribution lines, but they don't want the overhead of working the floor. In other words, they don't want to pay creators and filmmakers to make the actual films and content they need to sell ads on. So that's where you come in. You're an unfunded production asset, churning out content on your own dime. You provide the capital expenditure, the talent, the cameras, the lights, the story, and the studio. You provide the thousands of hours of invisible labor that makes their ecosystem addictive. You take on 100% of the risk. They take 100% of the control. In the system, you don't own the equity in your labor. You're a line item in an algorithm, working for the glory of a machine that would replace you with a generative model in a heartbeat. Did you know that in February 2026, Alphabet stock is trading at roughly $338 per share? That gives them a market cap exceeding $4 trillion. To put that in perspective for the chief executive of a household, Alphabet isn't just a company anymore. It is a digital superpower. Their valuation is now larger than the entire annual economies of Canada and Australia combined. They are wealthier than Italy, Spain, and Brazil. The algorithm isn't a discovery tool. It's a social compliance system. It rewards those who bow to the narrative and marginalizes those who actually think. If you're under that 4,000-hour watch time threshold, the theft of your human capital is absolute. They take 100% of the ad revenue your hard-earned channel generates. You're giving your lifeblood, and in return, they sell your audience off to the highest bidder without giving you a thin dime. You agreed to it in the terms of service. Remember? Regardless, you're investing the one commodity you can never recover: your time. And for what? To enrich a global empire that could buy entire nations, while you're calculating how to handle rising insurance premiums or gas. They are trading on your sweat equity for a $338 stock price. They aren't just greedy, they are institutional extractors, building a kingdom larger than the G7's finest on the backs of creators they treat like ghosts. This makes Google wealthier than most of the world's superpowers. As of February 2026, Alphabet has officially smashed through the $4 trillion market cap. Their stock is trading at a record $338 a share. Think about the sheer scale of that imbalance. While the average creator is struggling to pivot with the rising cost of living, this global infrastructure is trading your creative data to fuel its AI dominance. They aren't just a platform. They are a digital nation state with no borders and no accountability. They don't need to win a war to conquer you. They just need you to keep hitting that upload button for free. This isn't a partnership. It's a one-sided heist, perhaps the most brilliant business model in history. They've built an evergreen, prolific workforce that never stops growing, never stops producing, and most importantly, never asks to be paid. It's a silent heist happening in plain sight, a bloodless asset seizure executed through a terms of service agreement you were forced to sign just to exist in the digital town square. The data doesn't lie. We call it the top 0.5% reality. Only a fraction of a percent of all creators ever generate a sustainable middle-class income. Right now, hundreds of millions in ad revenue are being siphoned from creators just like you, the ones still trapped in the 4,000-hour cage. They tell you it's a milestone. The lab shows it's actually a quarantine. Until you're deemed worthy by the algorithm, your labor is harvested at a 100% profit margin for the platform. Every view, every click, every second of your audience's attention generates wealth. Wealth that never reaches your bank account. You are the engine of a $4 trillion machine, and they've decided your fuel is free. This is a digital command economy, a new, high-tech form of serfdom where your sovereignty has been traded for reach. A central committee in Silicon Valley dictates the terms of your survival, controlling every door and capturing every cent of surplus value you create. Think about the scale. In 2026, these platforms are projected to spend over $530 billion on AI infrastructure. They aren't building tools for you. They are building a global enclosure. Think about it. If the machine can help our YouTube intelligence agency channel write a manifesto about its own dominance, the permission-based economy is already here. They own the land, they own the seed, and they've rigged the harvest so that you remain a permanent tenant on your own channel. You aren't a creator. You're an unpaid asset manager for a system that views your human creativity as raw material to be refined and sold. They own the factory. They own the tools. And now, they've claimed total ownership of the output. In the old world, the serf at least got to keep enough grain to survive. In the new world, the digital landlord takes it all and tells you to be grateful for the exposure. But let's look at what that exposure is worth. While you're decorating a cell in a kingdom where you have no rights and no vote, the platform is building a $4 trillion empire on your back. You receive exactly zero share in the spoils of their record-breaking growth. You aren't building a business. You are providing the raw material for a global machine that treats you as a replaceable ghost in their algorithm. This disconnect isn't a technical glitch, it's a strategic directive. Look at the forensic data from a channel like Buddy Bear TV. 35,000 subscribers. That's a stadium full of loyal, breathing humans. An audience that shows up, engages, and builds the community. And the payout? A total revenue blockade. Zero in monetization. In the platform's eyes, 35,000 people isn't a business. It's just a high-volume data stream that they harvest for free. This is the proof that subscribers are a vanity metric used to keep you in the race. While the actual equity is being siphoned off to the Silicon Valley boardroom before it ever reaches the creator, YouTube is a cage. As of 2026, Google and two other giants control 83% of all digital ad money. They didn't build this platform for you. They built a walled garden to trap your audience. They've rigged the system to bury your external links. They don't want your fans clicking your Amazon affiliates or your personal store. They want your viewers stuck in a loop, harvesting their data while you do the work for free. This is a hijack. They are stealing your audience's attention and redirecting it back to themselves. They don't want your fans to support you. They want them to stay in the feed, feeding the machine. Your audience isn't yours. To YouTube, your subscribers are just inventory. You are the unpaid bait. The second you try to take your followers toward independence, the algorithm strikes. They call it friction. I call it a chokehold. They hide your videos and kill your reach the moment you try to actually own your business. You're being robbed in plain sight. Stop building on land you don't own. This isn't a fight over ad money, it's a fight for control. When a $4 trillion company like YouTube owns every algorithm and every subscriber, they don't just take your paycheck, they take your voice. They aren't a partner. They are your landlord. They decide if you get to speak today. They decide if you get paid tomorrow. You're pouring your life into a platform that can evict you with one line of code. They don't just own the video player, they own the way you think, the way you create, and the people you talk to. YouTube doesn't need to delete your channel to shut you up. They just starve you out. They don't have to ban you. They just cut your reach and kill your revenue. It's a slow, silent strangulation. They turn down the volume on your videos until you can't afford to keep the lights on. It's not a mistake, it's a business model. They price your voice out of the market. If you can't pay your bills, you can't make your content. That's how they win without ever pressing delete. They aren't just hiding your work, they're bankrupting your right to speak. This is censorship via the balance sheet. It is a system where free speech is technically allowed, but paid speech is reserved for those who comply with the garden's rules. You're being evicted from the middle class by an algorithm that doesn't owe you an explanation. They claim to be a public square, a neutral infrastructure for the exchange of ideas. But the forensic truth is that they operate like a private gallows. In this system, you are being deprived of your liberty and your property through algorithmic summary judgment. There is no hearing. There is no judge. There is no appeal to a jury of your peers. There is only the cold, binary decision of a $4 trillion landlord. They can seize your digital real estate and redact your income in a heartbeat, leaving you without a prayer and without a path to justice. You are building on land you don't own, subject to laws you didn't vote for, and an executioner you will never meet. Answer this question. Is the work you produced and uploaded intellectual property? Is your audience not your own? In the lab, the data shows your intellectual capital is being extracted without representation or recourse. This is theft on a scale the old world couldn't even imagine. They've turned the creative class into digital sharecroppers. You break your back in their fields, using your own gear and your own heart, only for a $4 trillion landlord to seize the entire harvest at the end of the day. You aren't building a future. You're servicing an unpayable debt for the privilege of being used. You are providing the liquidity for their stock price, while they provide you with a dashboard that counts your losses in real time. It's time to stop farming on land you don't own. Stop calling them innovators. They are the unelected rulers of a digital command economy, a self-appointed central committee that dictates your value from behind a curtain of silicon. Their rules aren't friendly guidelines, they are absolute laws. Their quotas are mandates, enforced by an invisible tribunal of code that functions as judge, jury, and executioner. While they trade on a $4 trillion valuation, you are forced to navigate a maze of shifting policies designed to keep you productive, but poor. They don't want partners. They want compliant data generators who follow orders without ever asking for a seat at the table. There is no appeal. There is no jury. There is no mercy. There is only the cold, indifferent judgment of a machine that has been programmed to prioritize advertiser safety over your survival. Do you think YouTube cares if you can pay your rent or afford your insurance? They don't. They operate on a binary logic of risk assessment, executing summary judgments on your livelihood in milliseconds. While Alphabet's board celebrates a $4 trillion market cap and a $338 stock price, the algorithm is busy redacting the voices of the very people who built their empire. You are being sentenced to digital poverty by a ghost in the machine that won't even look you in the eye. The time for negotiation is dead. The polite requests for a fair share have been exhausted and filed away in the archives of failure. We aren't asking for a seat at the table anymore. We're pointing out that their $4 trillion table has been built entirely on our backs. The tone now is not one of petition, but of defiance. If the system was engineered to diminish our value and strangulate our growth, then we have every right to change that system. After all, aren't we not only part of the YouTube system, we are its heart and soul. We are its true worth. We are done being the fuel for a machine that offers us no equity and no mercy. They have built a kingdom on our creative blood, but they know that their free labor force is on to the creator. Wherever you live, whatever city you create in, the government reaches into your pocket for their cut. But Google doesn't wait for a cut. They take the entire pie. They run ads on the content you crafted, using your gear and all your hard-earned assets. And they keep every single cent of the profit. YouTube is acting as a hostile property manager for the digital house you designed, built, and paid for. But they're the ones collecting 100% of the rent. They are the proverbial 800-pound gorilla. And they are crushing you. They aren't hosting your videos. They're harvesting your passion to fuel a $4 trillion engine while leaving you in the cold. The heist is complete. The evidence is undeniable. The only question left is, are you ready to fight back? Truth speak. For every creator who has been building up Google's $4 trillion empire, one unpaid hour at a time, one shot at a time, one edit at a time, one story at a time, stop being a content creator. Start being a founder. We found the exploit in their system. We found the gap they can't close. It's time to stop asking for permission and start taking back the profit and the reach that belongs to you. The machine has a weakness. We spotted it from our eagle-eyed 1,000-foot view, and we're going to use it. Spread the word. Share this forensic audit with anyone still trapped in the 4,000-hour cage, and tune into this channel. If you want to hear what the Silicon Valley overlords, currently sitting on a $4 trillion empire, won't tell you. The cold redacted truth. Before 2017, the deal was simple. If you had views, you got paid. But after a few engineered headlines, YouTube used brand safety as a Trojan Horse to build the demonetization engine. This system wasn't designed to protect advertisers. It was built to centralize wealth and automate the extraction of your human capital. In the next video, we're going to perform a deep tissue autopsy on that engine and show you exactly how they rigged the vault. Until then, be productive, stay cool, and start building on land you own. YouTubers, makers, filmmakers, commentators, teachers. No matter what you call yourself, this is your David and Goliath moment. This is the hour where you decide if you're a slave to the machine or a founder of your own future. We are the humans behind the screen. They are the machines built to exploit us. They've taken your reach, they've taken your data, and they've taken your profit. The era of being unpaid bait is over. It's time to get paid. It's time to take back what's yours. Join the mission. Build your fortress. Subscribe to the YouTube Intelligence Agency now. Let's get to work.